Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, as well as the Myrtle Beach Real Estate, channel with my co-host Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, and we just want to bring another, informative episode to you. We got another week, so we got more information to share with you. So excited about another episode here, Abe. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good, man. So let's just jump right into the meat of the conversation. I think you're going to share some information about refinancing and some of the changes that are going on. We want to talk about that. Maybe talk about default ratios again. I've seen some new articles on that. Talk about some, the data, the weekly numbers to get our audience up to date as to how the market's doing, which we know the market is still, strong. And then we will kind of, end it with, a little bit more conversation and be done. Well, why don't you just share us what's the latest with refinancing? What's the new thing that popped up that a lot of people don't know, but it's probably going to be in the media pretty soon?
Absolutely. Yeah, I read about this just this past weekend, and FHFA, Federal Housing Finance Administration, who regulates the financing part of the industry, interest rates and things like that. So they're adding a tax. It's not called a tax, but they're adding I'm going to call it a tax of half a percentage point to refinance deals. Now, I would definitely, I think we should get a lender at some point and let's do a video with a lender and get some more specific details before, because the news is going to get out. So basically what they're doing is they're realizing how good the industry is right now, the mortgage industry, and how much business is being done. So they feel like, okay, they'd like to squeeze out a little bit more money out of the process, and they're tacking on a tax to the lender on refinance deals. And the worst part about it is it's pretty much effective immediately. It's not something that they say, okay, well, we're going to give you gas starting January 1st. We'll start doing this. I think it kicks in. I think every deal that closes after August 26th, I think is the cutoff, is going to get hit with that. So that's a lot of deals that these lenders have in the pipelines right now. You're talking billions and billions of dollars that's in the pipeline. Now, all of a sudden, that lender's margin has shrunk. In most cases, it's not going to impact the people that are pending as far as the buyers go, because I think it's too late to go back to them and ask for more money. But what we're going to start seeing is a lot of the lenders are going to, add this into the cost of doing business and start raising their rates for refinance deals moving forward. Is what we're going to start.
So at the end of the day, it's like the regulators or the government that's kind of regulating all this, or the operations like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're going to apparently be charging a premium, an additional fee to the lenders who are doing refinances right now. So the question becomes, do the lenders end up passing this fee on to the consumer? Now, there's many ways they can pass this fee on to the consumer. They could maybe charge a little bit more interest rates, but that might not be popular because people shop interest rates. So what instead of saying, okay, well, we're gonna increase your interest rate, and then fearing that maybe that borrower, that owner who's refinancing may shift to a different lender because of shopping the interest rates, what we may see is they may be some additional fees associated. So they may throw a $500 fee on here, a $200 fee on here. Again, this is really breaking news. So I don't know that this is really figured out yet. And even lenders themselves that are having this pushed upon them, they're probably trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to manage this? How do we present this to the market? Continue to, grow our business, but also protect our profit and protect our margins. So I'm going to definitely reach out to a few lenders and maybe do a video on this. If I can find one that really has a good explanation, I'll do an additional video on this with the lender, and then we'll go ahead and push it out to the audience to make sure. So, I think that's one of the things that you and I are committed to, Abe, is keeping our finger on the pulse of the real estate industry so we can tell you what's going on, not only today, but share with you things that possibly we may have to deal with in the horizon. And so this is one that's probably not today, but it's in the really, really near term. The other thing, Abe, I'm scouring the real estate news and mortgage news, and I did see another article this week. Actually, it was yesterday. I believe I sent it to you, and it was from Bloomberg News. And and it was just stating the fact that the default ratios have reached another high, and because of forbearance, a lot of people are not making their payments, and so this is kind of being the cause, or one of the causes of default ratios increasing. At the same time, there's been a moratorium on foreclosures. So, it's like there's this kind of growing number of people not making their payments, or a growing number of people making late payments, but there's not a growing number in foreclosures because there's a moratorium on there where they're not really allowed to foreclose at this moment. Now, the thing is this is supposed to start opening up pretty soon, probably in October. I think banks might be allowed, unless something changes, to to start doing more foreclosures. The challenge is, as we know historically, banks typically don't foreclose on people around the holidays. So what we're really going to be looking at is, are default ratios and late payments going up? And if the banks are not able to actually do anything about it until October, and then the holidays come on and they still don't do anything about it, will people just get so far behind that they're going to have challenges? Again, I don't know the answer to that. I wish I had a crystal ball and I could make accurate predictions. I will not even attempt to do that. But what I will do is just constantly look at the facts at hand, and then and then depending on how I feel personally, I'll make adjustments in my own personal strategies on how I manage my real estate holdings, whether I'm buying, selling, believing that, maybe there'll be better deals in the future. If I'm selling, do I believe that this could be a problem and put downward pressure on pricing? Again, I don't know, but those are the questions that you probably want to ask yourself. So if anybody out there is ever interested in just identifying where is their property's value right now, please reach out to Abe or I, and no obligations whatsoever. We'll just send you a report on your neighborhood, on your community, and so you can just kind of get up to date as to where things are going. So that's kind of what I got on the front of the mortgages and the delinquencies, et cetera. Why don't we talk about the numbers, Abe? Tell us what's going on in the market.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about what's happening. I mean, I've had a couple of really good sales this week. And what I mean by good sales is just how quickly, I'm just astonished on how quickly homes are selling. Single family homes specifically. Condos are doing well, right? But nothing like we're seeing in single family homes. And like if I get a listing under 250,000, it's gone. I mean, I put 2 under contract this week. Below 200, they were gone in 1 or 2 days. So I mean, yeah, anything that's in that price point of 250 and below, like if you're out there and you have a home in that range and you've been thinking about selling, just waiting for the right opportunity, man, this is the right time. There's absolutely like hardly any inventory out there right now in that price point. So homes in that category is selling well, as well as across the board. When we get into the numbers, we'll see homes in general doing well, but specifically that price point. I know you had a couple as well, right?
Yeah, I had one that we were thinking about putting it on the market like at 255. And we made a decision, based on what the seller wanted to accomplish, to put it on at 249.9 and then hold firm. And here's what ended up happening. We put it on, sold it in 4 days, and we actually got full price. So instead of putting it on at 255 and taking a little bit longer to sell, we priced it more aggressively, created a lot more demand. The seller got exactly what they wanted, didn't have to negotiate a penny, and had it sold in a very short period of time. Now, they had already moved out of the house and already had 2 houses, so they were motivated. But the key is, I've also had scenarios where we've put properties on the market recently at just a fair market price, not low, not overpriced, just at a fair market price, and we're able to sell it within a week to 2 weeks for more than full price. So, people sometimes ask, Greg, do properties ever sell for full price? I mean, everybody wants a little bit off. Everyone wants to negotiate. And the reality is that majority of the properties do not sell for full price. But there are plenty of properties that sell for full price and more. And the difference between those that don't and those that do sell for full price is typically the strategy, the pricing strategy that they used when they first listed the property. So if somebody would have listed the property at 260, really wanting to build in a little bit of cushion and ultimately get 253, then, they may get 253 if they price it at 260. But they could have also priced it at, 253 and probably sold it for full price. So the difference is one person was a little bit more cautious, built in a cushion so they could have room to negotiate. And another person said, I'm going to expose my bottom line on the front end, not negotiate, and then hold firm and wait for that buyer that'll recognize the real value. And that strategy can work more frequently, more often. It's more successful strategy in a hot market, which is exactly where we are right now. That it's hard to underprice a property today in the real estate industry. You almost cannot underprice a property. Like if a property would appraise for 250 and you priced it at 235, not my recommendation, by the way, but let's just say somebody made a mistake and priced it at 235. They missed the market. They didn't understand the pricing. Well, that property will not sell. If it's really worth 250, it won't sell at 235. There will be at 235, there'll be 5 offers on that property and it'll get bidded up back to 250. So when you're in a hot market, it's hard to underprice a property. As a matter of fact, there's people in the MLS right now that are deliberately underpricing a property as a strategy to kind of create an auction type of feel, where they underprice the property, put it in the MLS, get multiple bids, and sell it for more than full price. Now, I don't have any problems with that strategy, but typically you don't really have to actually use that type of strategy to get your price, because there's enough demand out there where you can get it either way with a different strategy. But I just thought I'd share all those different angles, because we're seeing every bit of this taking place in our market right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of demand out there, and we've always had we always had to find that balance between getting the most money possible, but also selling it quickly for the client that wants to sell quickly. And
Yeah.
this is one of those unique markets right now where you really don't have to sacrifice too much time to still get your price. I mean, the market's that hot right now where you can still get the price that you want, of course, within reason, right? We can't be unrealistic, but within reason, and still get a good price and sell it quickly the way the market is right now.
Yeah, and I've had clients recently that, again, I'm just going to use an arbitrary number of 250, that they needed 260. Like 250 doesn't work, okay? But in some cases, I'm able to get them more than market value, because in their particular community or in that type of property, the inventory is so low that there's so much demand that the buyers are willing to pay a premium in order to get something. Like for instance, if you're living in New York and you put your property on the market and it's sold and it's under contract, and you need to get down to Myrtle Beach, and you have that dilemma. Do I sell my property in New York, which it's already sold? Do I close on that and move into a rental? Or do I pay $5,000 more? Because of the rental, like that buyer that says, no, I'll just move into a rental. I'm not going to pay $5,000 more. There's nothing on the market. I'll just move into the rental before I pay $5,000 more for a property. Well, when they move into the rental, it's going to cost them more than $5,000 in losses, just because when they move into a rental, 100% of that money is gone. They're not building any equity. And that rental payment's probably more than the mortgage payment would have been if they would have bought. So like there's a dilemma for some buyers where they can't find anything unless they pay $5,000 more. And then that means they would have to either pay $5,000 more or rent a property. And paying $5,000 more would probably be a better financial decision than going into a rental property at that moment and having to make 2 moves. So there are times, if we've got the right marketing strategy, and me and the owner, or you and your owners, kind of talk this through and realize what we're really trying to accomplish, a lot of times we can position properties on the market at higher prices and still get them sold if we understand supply and demand. And I've got many sellers that we are selling for prices that they really didn't believe I was going to be able to get them. But I just knew supply and demand, and I knew the type of buyer that would be looking at a property like that, and we were successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So the summer's winding down. We should start seeing an increase in inventory on condos, right, on the ocean front especially. So
We would, yeah, we would think so. And, and the other thing will be, and I think we should really be tuning into these weekly, broadcasts, because what I'm going to be interested in over the next so many weeks is to see if the inventory for residential homes starts to increase a little bit. And, and this is just a hunch. This is a feeling, a gut feeling based on my years of experience in the industry. Schools are going back. My child just went to school on Monday. I've got a college student that I'm taking to college in Tampa this weekend. And then I have another son that will be starting in about 2 weeks from now. And you know what? I'm seeing schools on the news start and then stop and start and stop. We're seeing colleges reverse their decisions and going completely online. The point that I'm making here is there's a lot of people around the country that are really consumed with the conversation around schools. Like, are my kids going back to school? Are they not going back to school? If they go back to school, will they end up going online? Is my college kid going to be able to stay there and go to school or not? Am I going to have to take off time out of my work schedule and work from home to be able to manage my child and their online school? I can't take off from work. Who's going to do that? Like, there's all these questions. So what we noticed this in the last week since school started to open up is the number of people coming into our market to purchase properties decreased. Number of appointments decreased. I believe they decreased because people are trying to manage this whole situation right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. So this is not like an economic shift that I'm talking about where the market is decreasing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that are distracted right now, and they're kind of taking their attention away from buying, and they're putting their attention away from managing their families. And we may experience that for the next month or so. And I'm just wondering if that will be one of the causes that increases inventory to rise in the next couple of weeks, but to be determined.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. We'll let people know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's dive into the numbers real quick. We're using Zoom this time around instead of the regular service, so give me a second, please.
Yeah, it's always, whenever we do something new, you always have to learn the new ways to share screens, etc. There we go. But I leave it up to you. I know you can get it. You can get it done.
I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
So this is the single family homes overall market for single family homes. So 5,543 homes on the market, 2,601 are pending. So again, an extremely, extremely strong number. Almost 47% of every single home on the market is pending, Greg. And it's the same trend. We kind of, we stopped having these big increases that we've had, 2 months ago, but it got to a high level and just kind of been stable at that pace. Go up 1%, go down 1%. So to have 47% of every single home on the market on the contract, to me is astonishing. We're still seeing it, so we're seeing a lot of activity.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I've never seen this in my career, and I've been selling here locally for 20 plus years, nearly 25 years. It's just a phenomenal number.
And this is the resales. So resales, again, 3,135 on the market, 1,386 pending. That's 44, a little bit over 44% of all resales on the market are pending. And again, that looking at that by itself is a high number. Mm-hmm. Now, I challenge agents out there to go in the MLS and try to find homes. So even though it says there's still quite a few homes, it's really difficult to find homes for buyers right now. There's just not a lot of options out there for people, especially when you get below the 250 price point. There's hardly anything out there on the market. So when a home hits the market, that's why it's gobbled up so quickly.
And let me explain kind of my interpretation of what you just shared right there. So yes, this would say, okay, well, that means there's 55% of inventory that's still available, right? But okay, so or in this case, there's 3,135 and there's 1,400 pending. So I don't know what's the difference in that. Let's just say that there's 1,600 properties, 1,700 properties that are on the market available, resales. The key is that an agent's buyer or a buyer themselves, those that $1,700 or 1,700 homes doesn't mean there's 1,700 homes for them to choose from, because that buyer is only in the price range of, say, $250,000 and below. So if we were to take the total inventory and we said, okay, how many are $250,000 and below, then maybe that's only 600. So now it went from 1,700 to 600. But now that would include properties in Conway and properties in Little River, in Longs, in Loris. So now let's just say, okay, well, my buyer needs to be in Myrtle Beach. Well, now we say $250,000 and below in Myrtle Beach. Now, all of a sudden, that criteria goes down from 600 to 700 homes to 150 homes. But they need a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom. Now it goes down to 90 homes. It needs a garage. Now it goes down to 80 homes. It doesn't want no HOA. Now it goes to 10 homes. So that's really what I'm hearing you say. It's like, it's like, okay, well, this is a big number. A lot of properties are under contract. There's still inventory on the market, but an individual buyer is not the market. All the homes in the market are not appealing to an individual buyer. When you dissect that all the way down or reduce that all the way down to what they're really looking for, there's a lot of times where there's only 5 to 10 homes on the market that fit a buyer's criteria. And that's one of the reasons why we have lists of buyers in exactly what they need. Like, I know I was talking to Jill Lindstrand today, and she goes, man, I got a buyer that'll pay cash. He needs a first floor on the corner in this one complex in Barefoot Resort. First floor corner. 3 years ago, there'd be tons of first floor corners out of the 15 buildings that were in that one location. But now there's none. So there's buyers. We have a list of buyers that are not necessarily picky buyers. It's just there's no inventory for them to pick from. So
that's well said. Yeah. So by the time they do their filters and actually narrow down on what they're looking for, there's hardly anything left. So what we're seeing now, the importance of actually being involved with an agent that has you on a saved search, right? So the importance of being on a saved search now is more than ever, because what's happening once you have your criteria set, as soon as a property hits the market that fits your criteria, you're going to get a notification. Yes. So now it's left through automation as opposed to waiting for an agent to go out there and find something for you. So anybody looking to buy in the next 12, 18 months, I strongly recommend that you get on somebody's safe search, whether it's us or whoever maybe you work with as an agent, and make sure they put you on a safe search. So now you get these notifications as soon as something hits the market, assuming that the market continues to be this hot, for when you're ready to buy.
For sure. Most definitely.
So let's look at the new construction. Over half.
Yeah.
50.46% of every new construction. And again, this number is even more astonishing because that includes to be built. So I'm factoring homes in here that aren't even homes yet. It's still there with a plan to build, right? So that number that factors that into this equation. You take that out, that number is probably 75%.
Yeah, and this is going to end up, buyers are becoming more and more frustrated. You got unbelievable interest rates, right? Like I'm so tired of saying interest rates are good, that's why you should buy, but then they lower them again. And it's like, wow, interest rates are good, that's why people should buy. So, the line of purchasers is getting longer and longer, and the availability of property, that line is getting shorter and shorter. Now that leads to better pricing for those that are selling a property. But it's really frustrating for buyers right now because they're even for real estate agents, it's hard to maintain good rapport and loyalty because buyers are calling the real estate agent. The real estate agent says, I'm sorry, nothing more has come on the market. Nothing more has come on the market. And the buyer gets tired of hearing that. And they start wondering, is there really nothing on the market, or is my agent just not doing their job? And the reality is there's just not much on the market. And so, buyers are getting frustrated. But again, it's a seller's market. This, the key is, I can just tell you this, and I think I've said this on previous broadcasts, is I've evaluated every piece of property that I own. And if there's anything that I own that I'm not committed to owning for like the next 5 years, I'm a seller. Because when you've got a frustrated buyer and their frustrations are they can't find anything to buy, when you got a frustrated agent that can't find anything to show, when you've got multiple offers happening, when you got properties selling for more than full price, like remember, like when you think about all that I just said, that reminds us of that big old time years ago in 2006 when everybody wishes they would have sold their property. Like if we go back historically and we say, what was the market like at a time that we wish we would have sold? And then we look at today and say, what's the market like now? It's interesting. There's a lot of similarities. I don't know if these similarities mean that in the future there'll be similarities like what happened with the crash. I surely am not saying that, but I have personally evaluated all of my real estate holdings to say, hey, look, I could hold out for $5,000 more and take the risk that the market drops. Or I can just go ahead and and say to myself, you know what? There hasn't been a time this good for so many years. I'm just going to go ahead and sell now.
So let's look at the land real quick. 16.6%. 473 pending out of 2850. So here's the progression, right? So buyer comes in, they're looking at resale homes, realizing that 44% of resale homes are on the contract. They do their search, narrow down their criteria, only find a handful of homes. They don't like them. So then next thing they move on to new construction. Well, let's go look and see if there's a new construction home that'll work for us. They go to that side and realize, 50% are all under contract. 75% of existing homes are under contract. So now what that's leading people to do, and it's leading buyers and builders to do, go up and pick up lots that are available. So now that's why we've seen a spike, in my opinion, a spike in pendings as far as land goes. To be at 16%, yep. That number has always been 5-6 years now. It's been 7-8%. It's more than double the activity that we've been getting the last 5 or 6 years. And I think that's a function of there's just nothing out there for people. So what they're doing is say, okay, let me just build. Yeah. I'll buy the land and build it.
Yeah. And that happened, in the past. Yeah. That the people are going to move down. Like, what's interesting about these buyers that want to relocate to our market is they find a way. They either change the criteria for the house that they want and say, okay, I will settle for this house and then I'll do some updates. Or they pay a little bit more money for the house that they want. Or they go out and buy a lot and build it. Like the buyers will figure out how to get down here. And so the tougher it is to find the houses that they want, then the more demand for vacant lots where they'll just build their own. The thing that's holding back the land, and the land's doing well, but the reason why this number isn't extremely higher, which this is a good number, by the way, is the building costs are high. So even though the prices of residential homes are high right now in the eyes of the buyer, building a property and dealing with the building cost, a lot of times they can build what they want, but they're going to have more money in it because the building costs are so high. If the building costs came down a little bit, which I don't anticipate it will, then even more people would move towards building.
Mm-hmm. Overall condo market, 33.16%, 1125 pending out of 3393. Again, a very strong number. Obviously not as strong as single family homes, because we're getting a lot of people relocating here as a primary residence. And I think that's why single family homes are selling so well. Yeah. And let's look at the oceanfront real quick. A little bit over 19%, 19.32. And again, so those are very consistent what they've been the last couple of weeks. It's just a pretty stable number. So homes are condos are closing, homes are closing, but they're being replaced instantly by pendings.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah. So I was wondering about this one because this is one that I'm a little bit concerned about in the future. Because I think a lot of people are experiencing overall lower rental revenue for the year. I think it's kind of obvious that that would be likely, but it feels like that the summer's winding down a little bit faster than we also anticipated. And so that could, like, August revenue may be down a little bit more than anticipated. It's a little too early to determine that, but it looks like that could be the case. I know at least restaurants are a lot of them are complaining about fewer people frequenting their restaurants right now than they had hoped. So, we'll see if there is some movement towards the fall of people saying, you know what, I'm just going to put this thing on the market because I don't want to have to carry so much negative cash flow. So I think that'll be where we see this number. If that happens, we'll see this show up in these numbers. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that carefully so I can guide my clients properly.
But that's a great point. Yeah, that's definitely a number to be paying attention to the next couple of weeks and see what happens to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure will.
That's all the numbers.
Okay, well, good. Well, good job as always. I mean, you're just, I think that, we're providing, valuable information for those out there that are property owners. And, if you want to comment on the page and let us know if there's any numbers that you would like us to evaluate. Maybe there's another chart that we could be evaluating on a weekly basis that would have some value for you. Please just let us know. We're happy to take suggestions. And just understand that, we put all these videos on the Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV YouTube channel. So we'd love for you to visit the YouTube channel and subscribe to that. And then, of course, Abe and I are here to serve you, buyers and sellers. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, if you know anyone that's thinking about buying or selling, we'd love to sit down, have a face-to-face conversation, or have a video, a virtual conversation, and just share with you what's going on in your specific location, or you're in areas that you're interested in. We'll guide you, give you the best information we can, and we'd love to earn your business. So with that being said, Abe, I appreciate you again for pulling this off, and we'll connect next week.
Always a pleasure, Greg. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.